I was Craig's invite on his calendar says an hour later, so he rang me like 15 minutes ago. He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's not."
I'm still at work.
That's
It's
really, that's
perfect timing because it has been a classic Canadian day, snowing all day long, -20 today,
Oh, nice.
so very Canadian.
wow. And
You,
when you
you can
say
see my weather looks, I don't know if you can see there, but my weather looks
And,
pretty much the opposite today. It's like if I just start, melting a bit today, then forgive me.
and it was the best childhood ever that I could ever dream of. We just spent so much time outside, winter and summer. During the summer, we were swimming constantly, doing lots of lake sports. And then during the winter, it was ice fishing and snowmobiling and skating. Those are the memories that stand out for me so much during childhood. Just training sessions would be, say, typical 3 hour practice that we would go into, and we would rotate through the events. So in artistic gymnastics, there is floor exercise, uneven bars, balance beam, and vault. And we would typically take a turn at two or three of those events during a practice, sometimes all of them, but you wouldn't get too much time at each event. And then there would be specific conditioning exercises to be done at each event as well. Um, yeah, so it is so interesting knowing what I know now about all the pelvic health and core type work that I do with my clients. Looking back, gymnastics training can be very detrimental for pelvic health and pelvic floor, and the abdominal wall, and just the way that we talk about abdominal training and core training in gymnastics. So much flexion based exercise, which is not bad, but it just overpowers a lot of, it's not balanced. It's often just not balanced, the type of gymnastics training that young kids are doing. I always tell people that I went into pregnancy with a pre-existing abdominal separation or diastasis recti. That shouldn't happen, but likely did happen from years of gymnastics training, years of holding my breath, years of being in a rib thrusted position. I just never knew about that stuff. There was no talk about that in the coaching that we were doing. There's lots of pelvic health issues in gymnasts, young kids with incontinence on their landings. It's not talked about. We don't talk again about the strategies of how to use breath and alignment and connection to the pelvic floor to be able to handle all these loads that are happening well and optimally. But that is something that moms will start to notice in their kids, is maybe that they are anxious or they're holding a lot of tension through the day. They're just nervous kids, and that can affect pelvic floor health. Or in their sport, they're doing a ton of breath holding. Yeah, so they start to pick up these things about their kids once they start to feel this in their own body too. Yeah, but then they just show up in the Facebook group and get really vulnerable really quickly with each other. They don't know each other. Some of them are from the same city, most are not. And they just show up and they ask whatever they need to ask. They post videos of themselves doing exercises if they need feedback for coaching specifically on the technique. Yeah, and we just go from there. That is a common question because most protein powders, at least on their labels, will say do not use during pregnancy or breastfeeding, or discuss with your healthcare provider. Sometimes those protein powders, as we know, they can be garbage. There can be added stuff and junk in them that are not safe during pregnancy or not optimal during pregnancy or breastfeeding. Oftentimes, especially in the high quality, minimal ingredient, minimally processed powders and bars, they just haven't been researched in these populations. And it's very difficult to test on these populations, of course, for obvious reasons.